Welcome back to At Issue, everybody. The state's population is slowly but surely becoming more diverse. So we see that most clearly in our public schools.
Students of color now make up nearly half of all public school students here. But is the diversity among our public school teachers keeping pace? So
joining us to talk about all of this are Amanda Fernandez, founder and CEO of Latinos for Education, and Benjamin Forman, research director at MassINC. So MassINC and Latinos for Education worked with researchers from the Wheelock Educational Policy Center at Boston University to produce a report looking at this issue. You can read it on the group's website. So Benjamin, the report indicates that things are moving in the right direction, just maybe not as quickly as they need to. When it comes to the issue of hiring teachers of color, what more needs to be done?
Well, a lot more needs to be done. It's pretty critical in order to have the number of teachers that we want to have in Massachusetts to fill our classrooms, to make sure that people of color are teaching at the same rates that white students have historically. So if you think about it, if one in every 25 white students becomes a teacher, and with students of color, it's only one of every 50 or 60, we're going to have a real shortage, and that's going to affect teacher quality. It's going to make it difficult to hire teachers. It's going to make it so wages go up and taxpayers start wondering why the school district can't keep the budget under control. So this is a huge issue. It's going to get more intense as the years go by and our student population becomes more diverse. So at every level, we got to think about how we solve it. At the local level, in the classroom, but also at the state level with state policy, and Amanda and her group have been working really hard on that.
Amanda, I imagine, I think people understand why it's important to have a diverse teacher force for a diverse student body, but I imagine there's also an argument to be made that it's important even if you don't have a diverse student body. Why would someone at home care about this issue? Bring it home to people watching.
Yeah, I think there's two big things we have to think about relative to why it matters to have a diverse workforce in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is the global center of commerce in the world. People come here from all over the world to study, to bring innovation. If we don't have a diverse teacher workforce that represents the backgrounds and narratives of our families and students for all kids, we won't have the global workforce that we need in Massachusetts to fill the future jobs in the workforce. That's one reason. Now, at the local level, in the school districts, it matters because our students benefit. There is research that tells us that not only does it matter for a student of color to see a teacher that looks like them, that mirrors their background, but for white students, it also benefits them to see the diversity in the teacher workforce, for the cultural backgrounds, the linguistic differences, and all of the things that make our country, our Commonwealth, and our world a better place.
So Benjamin, which parts of the state are doing a better job recruiting and retaining these teachers of color? What strategies are working best, do you think?
Well, generally, urban districts are doing a much better job. We have very few teachers of color in Massachusetts, but most of them are found in our urban districts, particularly Boston, around Boston and Chelsea, Cambridge. And then in the western part of the state, we've seen a lot of success and a lot of growth in Holyoke and Springfield, where Teach Western Mass and other initiatives have cropped up over the last 5 or 6 years, and they've really had an impact helping students see themselves as teachers, training them to become teachers, and helping ensure that they're successful as they get their start in the profession.
Amanda, what are the barriers? What are some of the barriers that are keeping a diverse workforce to becoming teachers? I know they're the basics, right, that everybody is facing, but what in particular for teachers of color?
There's a couple of issues that come up for prospective teachers of color to enter the profession, but also once they're in the profession to stay in the profession. So we at Latinos for Education work on this issue every day. So when you think about it, in terms of the barriers to get into the profession, the licensure exam is a big barrier. We have in the state of Massachusetts an exam that has to be taken by all prospective teachers to be able to teach into the classroom. We have barriers that exist for prospective teachers of color. Some of those barriers can be linguistic in nature, and some can be the lack of preparation that they receive throughout their entire schooling. This is a common issue that we all know about. So we have to consider that as a barrier. The other is from a retention perspective. Unfortunately, right now in our schools, the climate in our schools does not make it such that as many teachers of color who are in the profession want to stay. And so we see actually much larger drops in teachers of color who leave the classroom at much faster rates than their white counterparts. So we have to retain, not only recruit, but we also have to retain educators of color.
All right, a lot to talk about with this. Obviously, a hugely important issue here in the Commonwealth. Thank you very much for being here. Amanda Fernandez and Benjamin Forman, thanks for joining us here at Issue and in the classroom behind us. Yeah, really nice. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.